it be an evening star shines down upon you.
Good evening, everybody. It's me here again. It's Wednesday afternoon, and I've made some progress, and I've had a very, very big slip up. So today started off quite well. Had a great sleep. I woke it up at 8 a.m. to the alarm bell. So that means I'm sleeping through the night for the first time in a very, very, very long time. So after shower, I went out and cooked bacon and eggs with mushrooms for breakfast. The other two had already eaten, so it was just me cooking for myself today, which was, I don't mind that. Cooking's cooking. I have fun doing it. I went out for our morning walk and ended up doing 2 laps around the facility, which, we've only been doing one of late, so was quite cool with that. And the clinical nurse that came out with us is quite interested in getting his motorcycle license, so I spent most of the time talking to him about good learner bikes and gear and how to go about getting one's license, even though it's been nearly 30 years since I've been there and done that. But it never hurts to start partaking knowledge like that to somebody who's interested in going down the path of a journey of motorcycle riding. But anyway, we came back and I was allowed 2 phone calls finally today. So I made one to work, and it was to my big boss in Darwin, and just let her know the progressions and this, the where I'm at and how I'm feeling, and just I wanted to touch base just so that they had an understanding of when I might be back, or just so that they weren't in the dark, because I know what it's like from recent parts where some people have been away and we had no idea of when they might come back, and it's hard to plan. So having known that, I wanted to give them an idea so they could make a plan. And then I made my second phone call, and this was to a lady that I game with, and while she's had a little bit of a hiatus from the game for a while, she has the most calming, cool, soothing voice, and she sort of works in the industry of mental health as well. So I wanted to reach out and talk to her. Also, the ulterior motive was that she'd be able to pass on to the guys in my clan sort of what's happening. So, the coup that Warzone's planning doesn't happen. And anyway, so I spent a bit of time talking to Ree, and she gave me some great advice, and she also mentioned that if I ever feel like the lights are going out, just remember that she can be the one person that might light a light. And if I just think of that, then at least I know to have hope. And hope is the main thing that really needs to come from when you're in a dark place. I've got to remember that it's not just me. Plenty of other people are going through this journey, and that I need to learn to share. So anyway, I then came back and did some modules, 4 more modules on my learning journey, and some of those, one part of that was learning about a self-assessment of whether I have collapsed, rigid, or healthy boundaries around me. And I've learnt from reading through the tick and flick of examples that I have all 3, but I have some healthy. I have a few rigid, and I have a couple of collapsed poor interpersonal boundaries as well. And if I want to start from the collapsed poor ones, the one that I can really take away here, and I'm looking at and reading at, is that I give whatever I can for the sake of giving. I don't like seeing people hurting around me, and if I can do something to try and help or encourage or just give a little bit of love or encouragement, that's me. Sometimes it's not warranted, and sometimes I overstep the mark and I don't read the signs of the person just wanting to be left alone for a moment or two or whatever, and I take it upon myself and to try and help and overstep the mark, and it ends up being a bad thing. But with the rigid boundaries, and this is so me, I don't tell anyone how I feel. So up until when I saw my GP after I first tried suicide, I hadn't let a soul know what I was going through. I put up a mask, I put up a wall, and I tried to feel like, I tried to put out the persona that everything in my life was okay. I had it together when I was falling apart inside, to tell you the truth. And that's the worst thing you can do. I know that now, but at the time, it felt like I had to put on a brave face and make the world see that I was succeeding, I was doing okay, but inside I was falling apart and dying. And that's the worst thing that you can do. I didn't see it at the time, but it was terrible. The next one is, I didn't trust, even though I've had a lot of time to get to know people. So there was plenty of people around me that I should have put my trust into and let them know how I was feeling and what was going on. And I could name a few of those right now, but I'm not going to, because they will know who they are, and I just don't want to call people out. This is my problem, not other people's problems, but it was there. There were plenty of people I'd made great friendships with, and plenty of people that had told me that if I got into a bad spot, that they'd be there to help. And I didn't say that because they knew I was in a bad place. Well, I think they didn't anyway. I think they were more saying it because they're friends, and that's what friends do. So needless to say, I still thought that brave face that I had was there, and I just didn't feel like I was going to be able to take up the offer, put it that way. I didn't want to show a chink in my armour. I wanted people to be able to see that this knight would fight on and didn't require help. How wrong was I? The next was that I felt that others were likely to hurt me and that I'm all alone. Now, while that seems to go flying in the contradictory of what I've just said, it wasn't the few that were offering help and standing by me. It really felt like the rest of the people around me that I associated. It really sounds stupid, but it felt like some of them were out to hurt me. They weren't. That was just my mind messing with me. But I felt like I was all alone and I was going to be fighting this battle by myself. And I should not have ever had those thoughts, because I should have realised that I didn't need to fight this battle by myself. But at the time, that's exactly how it felt. And therefore I didn't ask for help. it felt like I needed to just don armour, stand alone, and let the enemies come. And I thought I could beat that crushing wave solo. And I just didn't realise that there were people standing there behind me that could have stepped up and fought with me. I just didn't see it. But on the positive, I'm okay when others say no to me. There's plenty of times when I will say yes, I ask for help, but not ask for help personally where I'm trying to deal with my demons and what's going on inside my heart and inside my head. I'm talking about when I'm needing help at work or outside of work with material things, etc. And I've asked people just for little things like, say, just help with the bike or help with something I needed lifting or just menial stuff like that. And if people have said no, I'm sorry, I don't have time today, etc. I can't do it. I don't have the logistics, and I've just been, that's fine. I was fine with that. It wasn't rejection. It was just, how would you put it? Being fine because I've always stood alone, and therefore standing alone, not talking about personal things, but talking about just general help. I can do this by myself. I don't need help. I've asked for help. People gave me a legitimate reason why they couldn't help. I was right with that. Give and take in a relationship. What I would do for them, they would do for me. Now, I've crossed out here what they would do for me, because if people ask me for help, I'll give help, but I'm not going to expect anything in return. If something's given in return, then it's a bonus, but it's not expected. Hence why I've crossed out on this, that I will do it for them, and they will do it for me, because I'm not expecting anything in return. Anything I do for someone, I do it because they're my friend, I love them, and that's what friends do. But I don't expect it to come back. If it comes back, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I share personal information as I get to know someone, and they share that information with me the same way. And I'll just go back to the former point. If I'm open up because I've met someone and I feel comfortable around them and I tell them personal information, that's because I feel comfortable around you, and count your blessings, because I do not do this with very many people at all. And and I've crossed out, they share the same with me, because I'm not expecting a reciprocal relationship here. I've simply opened up, and if they do the same, so be it. If they don't, so be it. I've just simply thrown it out there, and if they choose that they don't feel comfortable enough to come back at me and offer the same level of opening up, that's for them. I don't tolerate being abused. I don't. If I work out that I'm in an abusive relationship, be it friendship, be it a couple, a relationship, I'm learning now that I need to terminate those relationships and not be around them. I used to stick on with relationships like that because I felt needy and tired and I wanted to be accepted. But these days I'm learning that if I'm going to be the result of an abuse, whether it's emotional, physical, used, for whatever reason, I'll terminate the relationship. And that's healthy, and I need to be able to do that and keep doing that. I value my own opinions, and I'm open to and value the opinions of others. That's me. I value my opinions. My opinions are formed not from watching TV and the propaganda that the TV spews out. I form my opinions from lots of different sources, from people one-on-one, from watching YouTube videos, from watching podcasts and lots of things. And I wouldn't say I'm only watching what people say because I agree with what they say. I watch a lot of things where I'm expecting the person to challenge my views and my thoughts, and they quite often add new thoughts to my own. And so I'm not just watching people where they're preaching to the converted and I'm only listening to one side. I definitely want to listen to both sides of the argument, give my side of the argument, and stand true to my side of the argument until someone on the other side says something that makes me stop and go, hang on, this person's got something here, and they are probably right, and I need to go and investigate this and start thinking a bit more about what they've said and change my idea based on that, rather than just being solid and rigid and not bending my mind to learn, because you don't learn if you're not open to new ideas. And the last one is, don't push my own values aside to avoid being rejected. No, hell no. I stand by my values, and quite often I'm called a conspiracy theorist and a nut job and an idiot, and quite a lot of other words that people use to run someone down simply because they have a different opinion to them. And if someone is going to run someone down simply because they have a different opinion, then they're never going to learn and grow as a person, because they're never going to see new ideas and learn. And that's what one requires to do. So anyway, after I finished those workbooks, and I was actually quite tired, and to tell you the truth, I was a bit angry, and I was a bit tense and on edge. This might come from withdrawal symptoms, and I hadn't had any diazepam at this stage. I'd only had my normal medication and some Thiamine, and so I decided the best thing to do was to go and have a rest and go have a lie down. And it was only midday, and my intention was to lie down for about an hour or two, and what do you know, I fell asleep and into a deep sleep, and I wasn't woken until 6 p.m. tonight, when one of the carers came in and gently woke me up. And I woke up with quite a start, to tell you the truth, because for some reason I'd been dreaming that I was walking along all alone, and darkness was creeping in around me, and before I knew it, literally I was walking in near pitch black darkness, and I was alone. And out of that, I was feeling despair, I was feeling loneliness, I was feeling helplessness, I was feeling like this was the end, and where was I going to progress from this? And remember, this is sober me, and these are thoughts that I'd been having long before that, but usually quite heavily intoxicated. So I was dreaming, but reasonably lucid dreaming, I would say. And out of nowhere, a hand appeared, and it had a light, and the light was there, and the light was in with reach. And I reached out with my right hand and took the light, and all of a sudden I felt warmth and a glow, and despair seemed to get replaced with hope. And before I knew it, I looked around and I wasn't by myself. There were more lights. There were more lights appearing, and hope was replaced with joy, and how would you say it? An enlightenment that there was more around me and more hope. There was friends. I wasn't alone. There was a path in front of me where I could walk, and there was suddenly hope and joy replacing the despair and the loneliness. Anyway, I remember my friend's voice saying that you don't need to do this alone. This path has been walked before by others, and all you need to do is put your feet in their footsteps, carry the light, and more lights will join you, and they'll be your friends, and you'll get to the end. That's basically when I was woken up, and that's when I realised that I was dreaming that I was alone, but I'm not alone. I'm on a journey. There's people that have been there before. They've lit the way for me. My friend handed the light to me, and I realised then that once I was holding that light, there were more friends around me, and they had light too. And they were guiding me along the footsteps of others that have taken this path, and it filled me with joy, it filled me with resolve, and it filled me with determination that I'm going to finish this path, and when I get to the finish, my friends are going to be there. And that gave me hope. And hope is what I need.